Hi guys, welcome back to another video with Kieran talking all things Tottenham. If you want to see more content in the future, please subscribe to my channel, hit the thumbs up and the bell notification so you get notified when the next video goes live. So let's jump right in it, and today we are talking Tottenham versus Burnley, which is being played today, kickoff 2 o'clock. If we jump straight into the team news, Serge Aurier is back after missing the last 4 games with a calf injury. Mourinho has confirmed that he is back, should be in the squad. Whether he starts from the off, who knows, but he's back. Lo Celso, I said in the last video, is back in training. Unfortunately, he's not quite ready to play, and Jose has said it could be a further 2 weeks until maybe we see him in the actual matchday squad again. But it's looking good because with Lo Celso back and fingers crossed no injuries in the meantime, we have a full squad leading into this last part of the season. Burnley's team news, they've actually had quite a lot of injuries recently, but they have Chris Wood and Dale Stephens, they're back in training. Jay Rodriguez has shaken off a small knock that he had, but today they should be without Robbie Brady and Ashley Barnes, and Goodmanson is also unlikely to feature. And then Eric Peters is touch and go. If we look at the Premier League form of the two teams at the moment, it doesn't bode well for us because we have only won 1 in our last 6 and unfortunately have lost 5 of those games. And sadly, we report the only game we did win was a 2-0 against West Brom, who are currently sitting 19th in the Premier League table. So that is not good. Then when you look at the form of Burnley, from their last 6 games, they've won 1, drawn 3 and lost 2. So they've actually picked up more points than us recently. Then when we go head to head, this is where the news is a little bit better. We've actually won 5 of our last 6 at home against Burnley, drawn 1 of those, so we've lost none of those games. We've scored 16 and only conceded 3. We must remember that 5 of those goals were actually scored in 1 game last season. The last time Burnley actually beat us at Spurs was in October 1974 in a 3-2 victory under Jimmy Adamson. You know, I wasn't even born the last time they beat us at White Hart Lane, so that's a good record that hopefully we keep up for today at least. Of our 10 victories in the Premier League this season, unfortunately, they've come against opponents that have had an average position of 15th on the day that we've actually played. That's quite worrying, you know, stating the fact that we actually struggle against any teams from 14th to 1st place. Now, a little stat that might lead you to believe that Burnley could actually do something today wouldn't just be the fact that they're in better form than us at the moment in the league. They have actually won 4 of their last 6 games in London. And this season they've beat Arsenal and Crystal Palace. So against the London clubs away from home, their performance levels have actually gone up recently. And although Burnley do struggle to score goals, which, you know, should bode well for us, but the fact is our defence has been a bit leaky of late. Hopefully they strengthen up today. But also, they don't ship many goals either. There are only 3 teams in the Premier League this season that actually have kept more clean sheets. So we need our boys firing today. I'm talking to you, Kane, Son. We need you back on form, please. Then if we just talk about Jose's press conferences in the build-up to this game, he's had a lot of questions about Dele, asking if he's going to play, if he's happy with the form that he's in. And he reiterated the fact that, you know, Dele has had a difficult period. It's not just the fact that he's not been at the usual heights we expect him to be. You know, I spoke in the last video about the fact that he was actually in poor form towards the tail end of Pochettino's time in charge of us. So it was already there when Mourinho came to Spurs. He actually had a little upturn in form and then dipped again. So he has said that, you know, he's had a difficult period, Dele. He has had a few small injuries, And he did reiterate the fact that the small injuries mentally are probably harder to take than some of the lengthier injuries. You know, I'm not talking about broken legs and stuff. But, you know, when you have an injury where you know you're going to be out for, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks, you have that set target to come back. And the problem with Dele, although his form's been out as well, which has kept him out of the team, he's had these niggling injuries that have, you know, held him back, which means he's not working with the team as regularly as he'd want to be to fight for his place back. Then he comes back from an injury and can then start to build up his fitness, and then he has to prove himself and then picks up another niggling injury. So mentally that must really wear you down, and it's hard to come back from. So in that element, we can kind of understand a little bit more about the journey of Dele recently for Spurs. But he is starting to turn things round. Jose has said that he's fitter. He's looked good in training. They've had some good conversations between the two. So hopefully mentally he's, you know, starting to get back to the Dele that we know and love. Jose did go on to say that when he played Wolfsberger in the first leg of the Europa League tie, he played about 60 minutes, and after that he was very tired, really fatigued, because he did put a lot in, and that emptied the tank and took a while for him to recover. And Jose did move on to say that after the second leg against Wolfsberger, you know, Dele had a little bit more game time there, and he did feel better afterwards. So it's more about easing them back in and giving them the minutes. But by the looks of it, Dele is not far from being ready to play 90 minutes, and that can only be good for Spurs. When he was speaking about Burnley, you know, said pretty much what we expect any manager to say about them. They are a tough side to break down. Defensively, they're set up well. Sean Dyche is a very good manager at working with the budget he has. He knows what sort of players he wants. He gets the best out of those players, and they fight really on their sort of budget. You would expect that they would struggle each season to stay up. They would be in a relegation battle, but Sean has really managed to keep them out of that. He's a very, very good manager. And it's strange because Jose was saying that to analyse Burnley is very easy, which you may take as a negative if you're the opposing manager. But the fact is, he said that, you know, he plays pretty much the same way against every single team, has one plan, but they execute it well. You know, defensively they are sound. They have some bigger guys up front. They have some talented players. And they're the sort of team where they don't need a lot of the ball. You know, they only need a couple of chances, a set piece, you know, a decent long ball to catch you off guard when you're busy attacking, and they can really hurt you. So Jose had nothing but positive things to say about Burnley and Sean Dyche as a coach. Jose was also asked about our form in the Premier League, and this is where, you know, it kind of splits opinion, because many of us Spurs fans do believe that we haven't been playing that well at all. Myself included at times. We show flashes of brilliance, but we are struggling to dominate a lot of the games that we play in. Obviously, we've, you know, played Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City within our last 6 games in the Premier League. So they're games that you don't necessarily expect to dominate. But the others, we haven't dominated for the whole game. And Jose's said that we've been playing well, and it's frustrating to then lose from that. And yes, it is, but we haven't been playing well enough throughout the whole game. He may feel that we're executing his plan where, you know, he likes to invite pressure onto us, and if we defend as a unit, we win the ball and we counter-attack. For us Spurs fans, that's not what we're used to. We are used to having decent chunks of possession. We are used to playing quite well and a bit more expansive. So in our eyes, are we playing well? No. And is it frustrating? Yes. So we're frustrated twice as much as Jose is. Jose was also asked about Carlos Vinicius and his role within the team. And Jose is happy with Carlos. He reiterated the fact that, you know, he's come over from Portugal. He doesn't really speak a lot of English. And I think as fans, we're very quick to jump on somebody if they don't come in and hit the ground running. But he has scored a decent chunk of goals. In the Premier League, he hasn't had many minutes or a chance to shine. I think we need to be a bit more forgiving of that, because if he was a striker that was getting game time, like, say, when we had, I don't know, Robbie Keane, Jermaine Defoe and Berbatov, there was a lot of rotation going on there, so we saw the strikers more regularly. But the way we've been playing since, Harry Kane has really rose to stardom, nobody else gets a proper sniff in. And you can't expect them to come in and really hit the ground running every single time, because they're not getting the minutes. Like, if you come on with, 10, 15 minutes left in a game, the game has already been running at a certain speed, so it's hard to get up to speed of play. And then when you finally get there, before you know it, you've only got, 5 minutes left of the game. So you can understand from that perspective why it's hard for players like that to make an impact. But Jose's very happy with him. He's contributing well. And the fact that he has come from Portugal, Jose was saying, obviously he doesn't really speak the language, so that's something that he's learning. Luckily, we do have Lucas Moura within the squad, and they seem to have built up a nice friendship there. Also, the fact that Portugal is a lot hotter than it is in the UK. We don't have the most consistent weather, the best weather. It's cold, it's wet a lot of the time, it's quite depressing. So you've got that to take into account as well. And then you also need to remember, we've been in a pandemic. This guy is over here, so he's struggling with the language, he's struggling with the weather. And also, we don't have fans in the stadiums at the moment to give him that backing that he might need on the pitch, that us Spurs fans are so good at with these new signings. We are so good at getting behind them. And he hasn't got that at the moment. And family. Probably the most important thing when you're settling into a new country is family. Now, he's not going to have his family around him. So there are a lot of factors that are actually working against him at the moment that are completely out of his control. So, give the guy some time. So the last thing I'm going to talk about in this video today is just not a predicted lineup. I'm going to talk about the lineup that I would like to see. So if we start with Lloris in goal, that's an obvious choice. It's going to happen either way. Hopefully his form now takes a turn. At right back, I would like to see Reguilon. Obviously, he offers us a lot of pace up and down. So for me, that is a clear and obvious choice. Centre backs, I will go with Dyer and Toby. Now, this has been a troublesome position for us this season, but against a team like Burnley that are usually quite strong up top, we're not necessarily going to need the paciest of defence. So, Toby for his experience and Dyer for his, his aerial ability does win a lot of headers. Then on the right, I've gone for Aurier. Out of him and Doherty, I do prefer him. I know that Tanganga is an option that Jose sees, but I just feel that going forward, Aurier offers us a lot more. And also, if Burnley do hit us on the break, you know that Reguilon and Aurier are both quick enough to get back to support Dyer and Toby. If we move on into midfield, it's an obvious choice. Højbjerg is the guy that I want as our holding midfielder. And also, if the fullbacks do bomb on, we know that Højbjerg has the intelligence to sit in with that defence there. So that's no problem. Next to him, I want to see Tanguy. He's been fantastic this season. He now has the fitness levels to operate in a deeper position. And what I like when he does play from deep is he's so good on the ball. And it's great because he can ghost past 3 or 4 players with his low centre of gravity and then join the attack. So I'm quite happy for him to sit back there, and he's doing decent chunks in defensive work now. He's running about, he's pressing players, which is fantastic. When we move on to the next block of 3, obviously we're gonna smack Sonny out on the left. He's not been as bright of late, and I'm gonna put that down to the fact that Jose's moved him about a little bit, whilst Kane hasn't been fit. He's been in a more free flowing attack. So hopefully there'll be a bit more structure to his game today, and he can support Harry Kane and get us a couple of goals. On the right wing, I'm actually going to go for Gareth Bale. I think it's a player that a lot of us want to see start more games. I do believe Son, Kane and Bale are going to be a hell of an attacking threat once Bale really hits full speed. And the fact is, he's getting there now because Mourinho is giving him more minutes, and I think that's down to the fact that Bale himself is starting to feel better within his body. So it looks like Mourinho is listening to him, and it's sort of like a project that they're working on going forward, and that is what I would like to see. Now, if we look at the cam position, this may be something to split a lot of opinions amongst the Spurs fans, because we could have gone with a number of players in here. I mean, Bale could play inside, Mora, Tanguy could have played further forward, and we could have had Sissoko next to Højbjerg. Dele has started to look good recently. But I am actually going to go with Lamela, and that is more based on the fact of who we're playing than anything. I think Lamela over the last few weeks has been really good for us. He's very aggressive, he gets stuck in, and I just don't think Dele is ready to put in a shift where he fights for the whole game against a team as physical as Burnley and still produce the brilliance that we know he can. No, Lamela will track back. He's like a dog to a ball. It's like you throw the ball and Lamela's like, oh, the ball, must get the ball. You know, his work rate is second to none. He's probably the hardest worker I've seen on the pitch in a Spurs shirt. Point. So he has the creativity as well. He can help. He can hurt. I mean, we saw in the Europa League game on Thursday that he has that ability to link up play when he releases the ball. He had a lot of good moments linking up with Vinicius. With Harry Kane, you would expect him to finish or at least get shots off on target in a lot of those instances. And then obviously up top, there's only one man we're going to name. It's Harry Kane. Let's just hope he is completely over that injury now. I know he's been a bit quieter the last few games, and I do put it down to coming back from injury quickly and trying to bed himself back into the team. Yeah, that's my lineup for today. So just run back through it without the chit-chat in between. Lloris in goal, a back four of Aurier, Toby, Dyer and Reguilon. Midfield to Højbjerg and Ndombele. Further forward in front, Son on the left, Lamela in the middle, Bale on the right, and up top, Harry Kane. And I am praying that we turn things around in the Premier League, starting today. Come on, you Spurs. So guys, if you enjoyed that video, please support it with a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so you're notified when the next video comes up. I would also like people to comment underneath. Let me know what you think about the videos. Let me know your opinions on anything that I've said. I would like to get back to you, address it in some of the videos. You know, this is a channel that is not just for me, it's for you guys as well at home. So please feel free to share your opinions and comments. Thank you.